I want to welcome you to the Can Church Be Healthy podcast, where we're just a pastor and a therapist getting curious about this experience that we call the church and the fruit that it is currently producing, especially here in the western part of the world. Okay, my name is John Shirley, and I am what we would call here in our organization the point leader of our lead team at the Gathering Network. That's our church. It's a growing network of house churches here in Kansas City. I am a husband to my beautiful wife, Alyssa, and father to my 3 kids, a 14-year-old boy, a 13-year-old boy, and a 9-year-old little angel. And until very recently, my primary vocation has been worship leadership, where I have enjoyed a long career as a songwriter and recording artist. But mostly, as it turns out, as I'm learning about myself, I have come to realize that God has created me to be an innovator in the local church. And I'll say a lot more about that, but this podcast would be the fruit of some of that innovative impulse in me. And I am joined today with my really good friend, Tom Page.
What's up, brother?
Bro, this is a dream come true for us.
This is fun.
We've been talking about this for quite a long time, and here we are.
We're doing it.
We are really doing it this time.
Oh, man.
Okay.
That's old school Gathering Network lingo for any of you who know it.
It's true. We're going to come back and introduce you properly here in a second, but I do want to tell this story. So the phrase, because you may actually hear this, it's funny because I actually thought about this a lot this morning. We're really doing it this time. And I thought, I wonder if that'll ever show up in the podcast. And here we are. We're not even 90 seconds in.
Launching it. Just to confuse you to get started.
Yeah.
Things that you have to be an insider to know.
That's right. Okay, so the quick story behind this phrase, we are really doing it this time, #word it.
Oh my gosh.
Which, okay, that'll be the t-shirt, the Can Church Be Healthy podcast t-shirt on the back, #word it. Our good friend Will McCullough, the legend. Will, shout out to you, my guy. Years ago, we were at a retreat, and Will conspired with a couple of you guys and said, let's start using the phrase, we are really doing it this time, all week long, and see how long it takes for that to show up in John's talk in the evening session. And I think we were 3 days in, and then finally I just said, guys, we are really doing it this time. The place went crazy. And Will considered himself, he's like, dude, I am a winner. I am such a winner.
He's a magician
at life. Yeah. So it has, that was like over 10 years ago. The phrase has stuck. It is a part of our culture. We are really doing it we are really doing it this time. And Tom, we are really doing it this time.
I wholeheartedly agree.
With this Can Church Be Healthy podcast. Who are you? Who is Tom Page?
I'm Tom.
You are.
I'm a friend, and I've been at the Gathering here since, before we launched into a church, so since 2007.
Yeah.
So I've been a participant, volunteer, served a little bit as an elder, even.
A lot of it as an elder.
A lot of it as an elder. Personally, I'm married, and my beautiful wife is Blakely, and I have 2 girls who are 10 and 6. Professionally, I work as a licensed clinical professional counselor here in town. I've been doing that for about 10 years, and I just love being in a place to understand people's stories and help them on their path to healing, whatever that might be. And so that's kind of what my personal and professional calling is. And other than that, just, we share a lot of in common about this idea, can the church be healthy? Mm-hmm. And we come at it from different vantage points, but I think it's going to be interesting for us to talk and share, like, how do we see health and healing from our different contexts, but also how can we pair together and be good resources together? And we'll talk more about that, but that's part of why I'm excited to do this. Yeah, is to talk about what is wellness, healing, mental health, and church context. Yep. What a lot of those things look like, and how can we get better at it?
Yeah. I also, this is a necessary conversation in my view. So I'm really excited to open it up today. So let's just start with defining some terms. Mm-hmm. You've heard me say many, many times, and I'm actually coaching our church right now to help them understand the world that we as communicators live in, which is a world where no terms are really safe. Like, terms have meaning, and they have meaning to whoever is using or hearing those terms. And so it makes sense for us to define what we mean when we are using certain terms.
Yeah, go for it.
And in this little tagline, right, in the name of this podcast, Can Church Be Healthy? There are two words, church and healthy, that I
some
think,
assumptions.
Yeah, that's right. They come with some assumptions. And so why don't you take a stab at defining what it is we mean when we say church, and then also what we mean when we say healthy.
Yeah, I'll do my best, and then you fill in the gaps
All
on
right,
the
sure.
back end. Cool.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just with church, in scriptures, Jesus talks about wherever two or more are gathered, that he's there with us also. And so, on one hand, the church is a relational body. And so that could be 2+ people. And it really is about relationship, life together. People are trying to figure out how to do this life in Christ. I think church also means organization, means structures, leadership, expectation, culture, and then how all of those things play out together. And so I think for this, I think our hope is that we're looking at when the rubber meets the road of our life together, how do we do relationship well? Personal, relational, strategic, organizational, all of it is included.
That's right. Relationship and system.
Yeah.
And so, how are the relationships playing out in what is also a system?
Yeah.
Right? A system, a thing that actually has pathways in it and procedures in it and stuff. Yeah. Didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, dude, that's great. And then can be healthy. I mean, as we've been talking about this, we've boiled it down to really, can the church, so all of this personal and systemic, actually be a safe place and experience for people? And so can the church be healthy? We're not looking at perfect. We're looking at, can we develop skill sets, pathways, mentality that move us more and more and more into Christ likeness in a way that I think honors our tradition, but also takes the best resources that we have from clinical psychology and modern science to go, like, let's not demonize that, but let's weave this in. And if it's helping people heal, we need that. And just, and I know you'll talk more about this, but like part of the pain points for many people these days is just that their experiences in the church have been painful.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of hurt out there when it's related to church hurt. And so that just, it means a lot, I know, to us, that we acknowledge that, and people are carrying a lot of pain around church. Those who are consider themselves inside or part of the church, and those who feel like or have been told they're on the outside of the church, and how the church is related to the larger community. I mean, all of it. There's a lot of just stuff that kind of sucks.
Yeah, it's a very loaded institution. People's perception of the institution is a very loaded reality for a lot of people, And I think that, when I think about the words, you use the word safe, okay? And I think, again, we're talking about a term that people will make assumptions about what we mean when we use the word safe. And we will get into that more and more in the coming episodes. What we don't mean is an environment that doesn't challenge people toward holiness or right living according to the Bible. We are people who hope for that, who believe in that wholeheartedly in our lives, right? But when we use the word safe, I think what we're asking is, can we aim for good? Can we aim for good, meaning whole? Meaning there's something about the kingdom of God that suggests that Jesus wants to remake the world to a whole place where there is shalom, there is peace, there is goodness. And maybe along the way, we will even define what we mean by goodness. And I would love it if a more whole picture of what it means for the church to be just good for people. Like, I'm just asking, like, how do people come to my church and not end up wounded and hurt and burned out and cynical? How do they not leave the Gathering Network cynical? How do they leave the Gathering Network? Because they're not supposed to be here forever. They're here for an assignment, a limited amount of time. As long as God has them here, I know that, some much longer than others. But when they leave, can they leave with hope?
Yeah.
Can they leave with joy? Can they leave with blessing? Can they leave with honor? Can they leave going, you know what? That place wasn't perfect, but it was good.
Yeah.
It was
I think
good.
people aren't looking for perfect. They're looking for real and relational.
Real and relational would be in the kind of the definition of what good means to me.
Yeah. Like, can it be a place where there's tension and we love one another? Is there a place where there's uncertainty and we can love one another? Can there be a place where there's conflict and we don't cancel or avoid each other, but we love one another through it? And those take real skills and character transformation, which, largely, I think you would agree with me that the church has not been successful for all of our ideas and sermons. We have not produced a whole lot of character transformation.
Yeah.
And
which is a major concept for us. That is a major bullet point for us.
Do you want to hit on that now, or do you want to grab that, like the story about Dallas Willard and?
I think it's a great place to start because, well, the temptation here in the first episode is to let all the
cat out of the bag.
Go
wherever you want to go.
So by the end of this episode, there may be millions of cats running around all over the place because there's just a lot to say. But so we've been here's a cat. We've been influenced not only by a lot of really helpful skills and tools that are coming out of psychological and therapeutic practices, but also there is a new field of study that has impacted us because in 2009 actually is when we became a church, right? We were a college ministry for a long time that got successful, and there were hundreds of college kids around, and it was like a worship experience and a sweet teaching experience.
It was hopping.
Yeah, man, it was awesome, and loved it, but felt like the Lord was calling us to become disciple makers. And to do that, we felt like we needed to change the form from an attractional form into a missional form, right?
Yeah.
So we began to adopt a lot of practices out of the missional movement. What we didn't realize at that time was that we were actually trading attractional modalities for relational modalities. People were moving from programs and how they related to us into relationships and how they related to one another in what we would call missional communities then. We call them house churches now. That move from program, hey, come into this room and let us inform you and inspire you, which is, I think, many times what the attractional large room ministries can do. It is also limited in its scope of what it can do in terms of transformation.
Right.
So we were like, we want to move into a disciple-making paradigm in addition to what we're doing over here. And ultimately, what we initially started to do is we just started to talk about the skills of disciple-making. As that grew over the years, okay, that was 15 years ago now.
Man.
And what became clear to us was actually we wanted to see the transformation of people's hearts. So discipleship that transforms a person. Okay?
Yes.
So Dallas Willard, in a book, this story is told in a book called Renovate, I believe, by Jim Wilder, Dr. Jim Wilder. This is kind of the cat that's getting out of the bag. Jim Wilder is a neurotheologian, okay? Basically what that means is that Jim, as a brain, is that what that would be? A brain scientist? Brain scientist? Yeah, I'm getting my terms messed up. He is basically saying this field of study is asking, how does the human brain transform? Well, we care about that.
Of course.
We care about that because we care about people's transformation. Well, Dallas Willard was good friends with Jim Wilder. Dallas's wife is a therapist, and here's Dallas, the philosopher, spiritual thinker, standing between the church and the therapist's office, and seeing that on the church side, people were being discipled with Bible information that was not transforming their lives, while simultaneously watching people come out of his wife's therapist office radically transformed because they were doing that work with Jesus, with her and with Jesus. And then he began to look into the brain science fields, and he began to go, how is it then that Jesus made our brains to transform? And what we have discovered through that field of study is that brain science is helping us see the wonder, honestly, of who Jesus is and what he was doing and why he was doing the things that he was doing and why people were responding to him the way that they were responding to him.
Yeah.
And what we've learned is that Jesus was a non-anxious presence who didn't manage relational outcomes, who didn't treat people like they were a problem to be solved, but people to be loved. And in that one little sentence that I just said right there is a ton of neuro faith concept. And we will get into all of that. But we are asking, how does the system of the church become that?
Yes.
A non-anxious place that doesn't treat people like they are problems to be solved, but treats people like they are people to be loved in the image of God, while still saying we are here to see a transformation of our character. And Dallas Willard would say our character is what we do without even thinking about it. Character is what we do without even having to think about it. So it's not a utopian vision to say, actually, in the kingdom of God is to be filled with disciples that are intuitively, eventually, after years and years and years of growth and years of transformation, thinking and acting and believing like Jesus impulsively without even having to think about it. But that is a journey that requires guides and safe people that can coach and model and stay patient and resilient with the people that are younger than us. And I'm getting ahead of myself. Or older than
or
us.
our peers.
Yeah, sure.
Well, it kind of reminds me, I'm a Terry Real guy. Terry's a therapist who's worked with couples on the brink of divorce for, I don't know, the last 30 years plus. And he's developing this relational therapy practice to help people prioritize intimacy, like functional intimacy. And he just flat out says, like, look, our culture and where we've come from is just not, it has not been trained how to be relational. It takes specific skill sets and ability to tap into our own stories and how we've adapted to things when we were kids that we now just default bring into our relationships, our friendships, our marriages. And he says, like, his job, he's an intimacy merchant, and that if he can teach people to connect with themselves and each other better, then that's where healing happens. Yeah. And like, we heal our wounds, we heal our relationships, and we are able to grow into the kind of lives we really want. But the currency is intimacy. And I think with this neuro theology, what we're trying to do is, like, how do we tap into the currency of intimacy in the kingdom of God? Because I think that's Jesus is a love initiator. It's his whole being. He comes to where we are at on our level, and he doesn't expect us to meet him where he is at. In his divinity, he comes and meets us where we are at, wherever that is. Yeah, that's right. That's a relational skill. It's a divine relational skill. Right. And that's one that we can model back to our own being, to other people, and in our relationship with God. So, I'm just pumped to talk about this stuff because I think it's vital. I mean, it has the potential to change individual lives, family systems, group systems, and even large scale
Yeah,
systems.
it's true. And so again, back to this whole idea of innovating in this space. Okay, the Gathering Network, our audience, unless you're in it, you've probably never heard of it, even here in Kansas City. The likelihood that the Gathering Network is going to be a mega church is very slim.
Very small.
It just won't be. Because I actually feel like what we are is a research and development arm for the church at large. Actually,
that's a good way to say it.
Yeah, I do think that there have been things that we have been putting into practice for 15 years, and I think especially in the last 5, that people could come and see and be like, what is happening here? Because the fruit that is beginning to show up in people's lives now, and there's a story to tell, and we will tell this in the next episode, the story of the Gathering Network. I've got a great story, the Terry Real story that you told me that basically changed my life. Not even an understatement. Gave me a kind of a sense of like, oh my gosh, that's what we're doing. Yeah. What we're seeing is that all of this that we are talking about can get distilled down into skill and practice so that it actually changes the culture, and the culture becomes evangelistic in its essence. Like the culture itself becomes this sort of entity where people, when they get close to it, are like, oh, wait, hold up. I can be with you. I can be with you guys. I can come here to learn about Jesus and be with you guys because I feel like I can be safe with you.
Yeah.
And
there's a different kind of knowing. There's a head knowledge knowing, and then there's a bodily knowing.
That's right.
And when if you've ever been to, I know both of us have in different contexts, where you go to someone's house where they are a good host.
Yes.
And you just feel like you relax, your shoulders kind of sink, and you have a warmth in your body. You smile, and you just like sink in, and you're like, I can be here.
Yeah.
And it's a glorious feeling. And that's not something you can replicate perfectly and have it be a static experience all the time.
Yeah.
But I think that is something we can grow at. How do we become good hosts for one another?
Yeah, that's it. And how do we become people who relate in a more whole and healthy way to God, ourselves, and others?
Yes.
This whole practice of relating to God, self, and others. And there's correlation between all 3 of those, parts of ourselves. And again, we're really excited about talking about how the patterns of relationship play between our relationship between ourselves, our internal world, our relationship with God, and our relationship with other people. You guys, we are so thankful that you are joining us on this journey. We can't hardly even tell you enough. We're just so glad that you are here. Thank you for joining us. At the end of every episode, we want to take just a moment. I don't really feel like we got into too much stuff today that requires
but we
kind
can
of
go ahead and
settling
give it a
the
go.
dust, but we are kind of establishing a culture to get together even here. At the end of every episode, Tom or myself will lead us in a little section of what we're going to call holding space. Some of the episodes that we will be in, some of the conversations that we will be in will certainly kick some dust up, because we're going to be entering into some themes that may, I guess the word that's alive right now in culture is triggering, right? There are concepts, there are stories, there are storylines that do trigger us. And so that, honestly, here we are talking about church hurt today. We touched on it, and there may be someone in our audience that's like, I have live church hurt that is active and painful in my life right now. And certainly there is someone that's hearing us that feels that way right now. So,
and I don't know that we're coming with like these strong, provocative words. We're going to challenge you with the truth. It's just anytime you talk about real life plus church, that's complicated.
Yeah.
And so we just want, in a limited format like this, we want to try to even embody what we're talking about.
That's right.
And give people a chance to just be and sit with whatever is coming up. If it's gratitude or excitement, or your stomach is churning, you feel nauseous, and we just want to say, we're happy to be with you however you are.
Yeah.
And it's a pleasure that a gift to us that you'd be with us on the journey. And so that's why we're gonna, at the end of episode, do some little moment to just honor wherever our listeners are.
That's right. We're gonna call
us too.
That's right. Yeah, we're gonna call it holding space. So Jesus, come be with us now.
You want me to lead us?
I would love for you to
I'll
lead
do.
us.
Cool. So, if you guys, if you're in a safe place, if you're, maybe don't do this if you're driving a motorcycle or a car or heavy machinery at this point, but if you're in a place to just relax, I'd invite you to turn your awareness towards your breath, and I'll even do it with you. And just notice your in and out breath, and just be with that for a couple seconds. And just notice how your body feels as you breathe in and you breathe out. And if you feel up for it, you might gently just scan through your body, just head to toe, and just see how is your body feeling in this moment. Is it peaceful? Is it restful? You feel twitchy and anxious? Maybe some places are calm, some places feel uncomfortable. It's okay. And then finally, I'd invite you to just turn your attention towards your mind and just see what thoughts are churning in this moment as you've been with us on this short journey for our first podcast. And whatever you're noticing in your mind or your body, I just want to invite you to have a gentle and open approach to yourself. That's how we feel towards you. With whatever you're coming with, however you're feeling today, you're okay. We're happy to be with you. And I hope that as maybe you journey with us, that you will continue to learn how to hold yourself in this kind of awareness and kindness. Because we think, we don't know for certain, but our assumption is that this is how God relates to us all the time. This is the space. This is where He is with us, happy to be with us, close, warm, no other way we have to be. And so we just want to say, whenever you're ready, you can be done with this practice of holding space. And we're grateful for you and look forward to being with you on the next episode. So take care, guys.
Take care, guys. Glad you're here. Thanks so much. You guys, thank you so much for dropping in today. If you have any questions or comments, you can reach out to us at gatheringnetwork.org/healthychurchpodcast. It always means so much if you will rate and review the podcast any place where you happen to stream. Credits for today's episode are podcast writers are myself, John Shirley, and Tom Page. Sound design and editing, John Shirley. Show intro music, Light Up the Night by Brasco. Advertisement _track, Well Enough Alone by Reveal. Holding Space _track, Threads by Acreage. And all of these have been licensed through Soundstripe. Once again, we thank you so much for giving us your time today. God bless you, and we'll see you soon.